In this video we will learn how to create 3D objects based on a path and different kind of shapes, and we will do this with the loft function in 3D Studio Max. We just start with a really simple shape. I use a helix, and I can choose this under shapes and helix, or also really nice in 2014 here under objects I can go into extended primitives. For this I have to choose my default enhanced menu workspace, and so I just did this right now, and I just draw a really simple helix, and let's look at the parameters. I will give it a radius of 40 centimeters and radius 2 also 40 centimeters, a height of 40 centimeters, so really simple. Turn 1.7, that's fine. A little bit higher actually, 60 centimeters. And this is my path, and next to this I just draw a simple rectangle. I go into objects, into shapes, and choose rectangle, and this is now my really simple rectangle. My aim is to use this rectangle and follow this path to build up a 3D object. Okay, let's do this. For this I choose my loft function. I select again my helix structure, and I can do it with my command panel. I go into geometry. In the polar menu I choose under compound object my loft function, or a new way of getting there is I go into objects and into compound objects and a loft function. Okay, so my helix is selected, and if I now choose a shape, because then my helix is the path, I can just go into get shape and choose this rectangle. We can already see that my rectangle follows my helix, and it just builds up this 3D object. Okay, let's have a look at some functions here in basic functions in my loft tool. Okay, I chose my modifier window, and here I can see this loft function, and I can select shape, and I can select my path, and I can see if I select shape and select this little triangle, I can move this triangle, and we will see what this does later on. And what is quite interesting, when I created my loft function, I used this instance, and this just means that I can still choose my geometry, and I can change, for example, the width of this geometry. Sorry, not in my rendering obviously, but here in my parameters. And if I change the width, you can see what's happening. And this is the same thing I can do with my helix. The helix is still underneath. If I change these helix, just close this windowing, I have to do it in my parameters. You can see that it has an impact on my loft object, and this just means it's really nice to control this also in terms of the parameters. So this is a way of doing it. You can also do it differently. You can also go into my loft substructure. I choose path, and then you're also in your helix, and here you can do the same. You can see that they're both turning and rotating. It really depends on what you do. And also in terms of my path, I have to select my little triangle here, and then you can see here's my triangle, and I can change, I can still change this shape, this section. Surface parameters is something quite common. It's a little bit like a mesh smooth. If I switch this off, I can already see these faces, and we normally work and with this smoothing. And what's quite interesting is this path parameters, and we will just see what we can do with this. And for this I just go into my top view, and next to my rectangle I will draw a new spline. I will just use the circle, And what I can actually do is I can just go into my loft function again, and I can choose a new position on my path. This is my first shape. That's this little a rectangle, and it's on path level 0. We just want to see what this means and what this looks like. I can just move it. If you can just see that it just follows my helix. And if I go into my wireframe mode, then you can also see, let's see, I think for this I better deselect it, that there's a little yellow cross which just follows my my helix. You can see it right now here. I deselected my rectangle, otherwise I wouldn't be able to see this. And you can see that position 100 is the end of the helix, and position 0 is the starting point of the helix. And you can also just instead of choosing percentage, you can go into distance and can choose the distance from 0 up to the end of the length of my helix. Okay, let's go back into the setting percentage, and I will choose all my shapes, and sorry, this was wrong. I go into shapes and I will choose all my shapes. It's only one actually right now, and it's my rectangle, and I go again into path level 0, and you can see that this is at the beginning. Right now I deselect it and I go into my loft function, and I now set up path level 100, and with this setting I just go into get shape again, and I will choose this circle. Okay, what happened? This is a little bit of a surprise, and it's easy to explain, because if you see in options you can see my shape steps, and 0 is definitely not enough for my circle, so I have to increase this. And then you can see that it just builds, just morphs from my circle to my rectangle, and it's a really smooth transition from one shape to the other, and really depends also in my options in the amount of steps I use for my path, and obviously also the amount of shapes I use for my shape. When I go to shapes, I can select my shape again. I can change these position. You can see that it's just going down, and I can also obviously delete this position or go into center and left and right. This means I can align this object, and it's aligned to the pivot point, and I just go into delete. And I have again now my loft function with this simple triangle. Okay, there are some functions we would like to look at. For example, if you want to build something up like helix as a connection between two levels in an architecture, where you can just deselect and contour this banking, and then you can just see that it still follows, that it's still perpendicular to my z-axis. And if I just change my proportions, then you can see that this already works quite well, and that it's just perpendicular to my z-axis. And I just switch on banking again. You can see that it's now the twist follows my my helix. If I switch on optimize shape, you can see that it tries to use as little edges and faces as possible. Adaptive, I would normally try to switch on. You can't see any impact right now here, but it tries to optimize the amount of faces and edges, that everything is nice and smooth. And you can obviously switch on the cap start and cap end, and now switch it off. And if you then just apply a shell function, for example like this, then you can see that you have a shape like this with an open shape like this. And normally I would use straighten corners in the shell function, that it really fits to your setting. This means an outer amount of 7 millimeters. Okay, I will delete this again, cap start, cap, and I will switch on. And what we would like to look at right now is what would it look like with different kind of shapes. And this was a circle and was a rectangle. It worked really well, and there's one reason why it worked so well, because it has the same amount of vertex points. If I now add its spline moment, you can just see that my rectangle had 4 vertex points, and if you see my circle and I just added spline, you can see also this has 4 vertex points. So let's see what it looks like if you have shapes with different amount of vertex points. Okay, I will just draw a simple triangle. I use this n-gon function, and this is first my hexagon, and I go into 3 sides, and with this I do a triangle, I'm sorry. And I do the same, I just copy this. It's a little bit too big actually. Let's use a radius of 8 centimeters, and I just copy this, and I increase my sides so I have something like a hexagon. And if I just add this added spline, you can see that amount of vertex points is 6. This is expected. And with a triangle I will do the same. I will just add added spline. You can just see there are three vertex points. Actually, I can just go right mouse click and say corner, because I don't need them as BCs. Okay, what we do is I will choose my loft function again. I will go into path 100, that's fine. And I go into get shape, and I will choose this hexagon. And I go into path 0. This is actually my rectangle, and I will choose get shape and choose my triangle. Okay, if you look at this, this doesn't look too good. Okay, if you look at this, this doesn't look too good, and there's actually the main reason for this is that I still switched on optimize shapes. I will just switch it off, and then you can already see that I now have a lot of steps between this and a lot of polygons. So what I do is I just switch off my edged faces mode in my viewport. I press key F4, and this already looks quite smooth. What I actually wanted to show is that the transition between an object with 3 vertex points and 6 vertex points, or a different kind of amount of vertex points, is not perfect. Also my example is not perfect because it's a really long path. So what I just do is I just select my path, helix, and I will reduce my turns, probably also my height a little bit. So we look at this, and just turn it a little bit, and you can see that it's not bad, but there are also I think it can be optimized. We just want to see what it looks like if I just have the same amount of vertex points in my triangle. Okay, I choose my triangle, and it is an instance. So what I can do is I can just go into segments. I select all segments, string A, and there's one function under geometry in edit spline. That's the function divide, and if I divide it by 2, then I actually have 6 vertex points, so the same amount like my helix structure. I just press divide, and you can see it just had a little bit of an impact on my geometry already. It looks better. It also didn't look too bad at the beginning. So we look at this a little bit closer. It looks quite good, and what I just do is I just copy my triangle again as an copy. I go into vertex points, and I just delete these again, so I can switch between these two modes a little bit faster. And I just go into my loft function again, and on path 0 I get into get shape, and we just see that it just looks different. It looks not as good as the shape with my 6 vertex points. Okay, do it again. I just choose my loft function with 6 vertex points, my shape, and this looks just a little bit smoother than the other one. Okay, I will change my path again into helix twist of 1.7, so it's you can see it a little bit better. And what you can do is actually you can also just select one path, one shape, I'm sorry, and if you hold your shift key, you can just copy this one. So what I do is I just hold my shift key and I just copy my my shape, and it asks me if I want to have a copy or if I want to have an instance. I just choose copy, and then I of course actually can select my shape. This is my shape, and I can define this path position. I just go into position number 30%. And of course I just also can just add other shapes, for example like this rectangle. I just learned it would be good if it has the same amount of vertex points, so I just choose my 2 spline lines and I just go into divide, so it has the same amount of vertex points, and I go back to my loft function and I choose a new position and just choose position number 70, and I go again into get shape and choose this one, and then you can see I have 4 shapes actually, which I can just adjust right now. I can transform my shapes. Obviously, I just select one of these shapes, probably the shape on path level 70. That's my rectangle, and I can scale it in all directions. I can also transform my whole loft, and there are some nice functions for this, and we just have a look at this. It's under deformation, and we look at one function named twist. In this menu you see a long graph from 0 to 100. This is exactly my path position. So position 0 is my triangle, position 100 is my hexagon. I can choose the first point, and if I just lift it, I just choose my move control points. You can see that it's turning, it's twisting. And you can also add vertex points. I can probably choose here my inside corner point and click into the field. I can choose a position. Probably I just go into position 60%, and I can move this vertex point up and down, which is quite handy. So I have a full control of this length, and if I go into position on value of 100, then I twisted this 100 degrees and now 45 degrees, and so on and so on. I can also optimize the transition between these points. If I choose right mouse click on this vertex points, and then I have this option of Bezier smooth or Bezier corner, and this means I can just change the transition, have a really nice shape. And also the same here, I can change between corner and Bezier corner because it's the starting point, and then adjust my shape that I have really nice transformation between my points. There are other deformations, for example like this scale, and if I do the same and I just add a new vertex point on scale, right now it's 100%, and I just choose this vertex points. I move it a little bit up at position 47, and just change this and say it's position 30%. Then you can see that that's a little bit the same thing. You can just move it in all directions. You can set the amount of scaling in here. Right now I just want to scale it 200% on position 70%. and so it's a really good way of controlling it, and obviously everywhere you can just have a really smooth transition while changing this Bezier handles. Before we just looked at the loft function with an open path shape, and now as a second example we would like to look at a closed shape and see what this looks like. What I do right now is I just draw a rectangle, and I also give this a little bit of a corner radius. Okay, and next to this I will draw, and this is a closed spline actually. I go into extended primitives and I go into channel. This is my channel, and I will draw a channel like this. And like before, I just choose my rectangle. I go into compound objects and loft function, and I choose under get shape my my channel. Okay, there's one thing what we can see. It's we can see it even better if I choose under my compound and under my loft function this optimized shape, that there's an intersection between these U. I just move my my loft function, and underneath there is still my instance, so we can see it even better, and my U channel shape just intersect with itself. And there's one thing we can do. This thing should be bigger than the path underneath, and there's one thing which is quite interesting. If you choose your channel, you can see the gizmo, and the gizmo is in the middle of my object, and this just means that it just turns around, just follows these gizmo, so it follows the middle of my object. And what I can do is I can just go into hierarchy and choose effect pivot point, and I just switch on snap toggle right mouse click vertex points, and I can just move this point to this corner, and I switch off effect pivot point only, and then it will turn around around this point, and we will just see what this looks like. I choose again my loft function. I go into get shape, and I will choose this shape. And a little bit unexpected, it looks even worse. And there's one thing: it really depends on how the loft function will use my shape, in which direction it turns, and you can see that it now shows this opening to the inside. So it's worse that this point the whole structure moves into the inside, and you can change this if you hold your string key, and I go again into get shape. Then we can see it looks really good, and this just means it just turned around, and now my pivot point follows exactly this line, and that's also why it looks really good when you see it in my top view. Another way of dealing with this would be the following: I just choose my object again, my shape object, and I go again into a hierarchy effect pivot point, and I say center to object. So it's like before, and if I go into my loft function and go to get shape, then it looks like before. But if I choose my shape, and I only have one shape, so just select my whole loft object, and with this automatically I've chosen my my U channel. There's something like a line, so you can see that I can choose my align. You can see I can choose between left and right, and this also shows you that I can move it and adjust it. It's a little bit like replacing your pivot point. And now again you can see that it shows it's opening to the inside, and the same like before. If I go into loft and I hold my string key and go again into get shape and choose my U channel, then you can see that it orients the opening to the outside. And what I have to do then, I go into shape and I just change my line, and you can see that it also again looks really really well, and there are no overlaps in my shape. If you want to twist or scale these kind of closed object, that's a little bit tricky, because you have to play with the geometry, or you have to understand the geometry properly. One thing I think it's worth looking at, because if I open my twist deformation and I just move these point, this were I only want to select one, then you can see this looks actually really bad. Point number 100% and 0%, they just meet at the same position, and of course this will cause a weird twist. What you actually should do is you should just add another point, for example in the middle, and I just move this up. I choose my move control point, I move it up. Still doesn't look good. You can optimize it on this level. For example, if I just say right mouse click and choose Bezier, and also these 2 points, I can go into right mouse click and choose Bezier corner, and I will adjust my Bezier handles a little bit. So that's the first thing I can do. The second thing I can do is I can just optimize my path steps. I switch on my show edged faces in my viewport. Just increase it a little bit, my path steps, but you can see it doesn't do much. So what I can do is to optimize, I go into path and choose my rectangle, and I can adjust the corner radius, and you can just see that it's a combination of corner radius with my path steps, and possibly also the position of my pivot point. And so this is something you have to adjust to get a smooth and nice shape if you want to have a closed shape like this.